there. And Kristen's going in with or without us. They need us.
You mean we're gonna try to go in with her? To link up?
It's now or never. I'm not gonna kid you. This is as dangerous as it gets. If you die in the stream, it's for real. Nobody has to go in that doesn't want to.
I'm in.
Me too.
Let's go kick the motherfucker's ass all over Dreamland.
Yeah!
Remember, you have to stay together whatever happens. It's the only way we can beat him. All right, clear your mind of everything. Picture yourself in the quiet room. The soft white walls. The total silence. Only the sound of your heart beating. Picture yourself there with Kristen. I'm gonna count backwards from 5. And when I'm done, we'll all be asleep. We'll all be in the quiet room. 5, 4, 3, 2, Nancy, I knew you'd come. You don't think we'd let you go in alone, do you?
No way, we're a team.
Yeah!
Listen, everybody. Joey needs us. I can feel him.
It's late at night and you're feeling sleepy. As you tuck into bed, you start getting drowsy and slip off into a deep slumber. But suddenly, instead of a pleasant dream, you find yourself in a dark, steamy boiler room. And standing in front of you is a familiar figure with a black fedora and bladed glove. Do you stand a chance against him? That's what we'll find out. In this episode of the infographic show, You versus Freddy Krueger, could you defeat him? Freddy Krueger was a normal family man with a loving family. Though under this secret facade, he was a depraved serial killer who stalked the children of his former classmates, all of whom had taunted and ridiculed him throughout school, making his life hell. Torturing and killing the children, he spread their remains throughout town and became known as the Springwood Slasher. Eventually, he was caught by the police, though a faulty arrest warrant saw him released on a technicality. The town took justice into their own hands and burned Freddy alive in his boiler room. Though as he succumbed to the flames, he was approached by 3 dream demons who offered him the power to stalk and kill through dreams. Accepting, Freddy became a dream demon himself, empowered by fear and gaining power by absorbing the souls of his victims. So, say you find yourself face to face in the middle of a nightmare with the fabled dream demon Freddy Krueger. How could you defeat him? The first strategy will be to remain awake as long as possible, as Freddy is powerless in the real world and can only strike at you from within your own dreams. One good way to stop yourself from falling asleep is the use of amphetamines such as Adderall or speed. As a stimulant, amphetamines speed up messages traveling between the brain and body, and taken in large doses have the side effect of making it very difficult to go to sleep while retaining a decent amount of energy. If illegal drugs aren't your thing, you can try legal drugs such as modafinil, or perhaps just take your chances popping caffeine tablets. However, too much caffeine in your system can lead to irregular heartbeat and seizures, and staying awake for too long can lead to serious mental disorders such as paranoia, depression, hallucinations, and even psychosis. So, you're staying awake via a steady stream of caffeine pills or a few hits of amphetamines every few hours. What now? Well, your first tactic could be to try to find Freddy's remains and have them blessed by a priest. As Freddy still has the soul of a man, he is technically being possessed by the dream demons, and as such, vulnerable to a rite of exorcism. It's not as easy as just sprinkling some holy water on a bunch of burnt bones though. Due to a rise in the demand for exorcisms in recent years, the Vatican recently held a week-long conference to address the rising tide of exorcisms and discuss concerns over the uneven skills of the Vatican's current exorcists. The church warns that would-be exorcists should apprentice under an experienced exorcist, and the risks of conducting an exorcism while unprepared can be dire. Perhaps, though, you can use the threat of exorcism to lure Freddy into the real world. As a dream demon, Freddy has no more power in the real world than you do, and luring him into reality or forcing him into it will completely take away his powers. However, be warned, he may not have supernatural powers anymore, but he is still armed with a very dangerous glove full of razor-sharp knives. You can try and take Freddy out one-on-one with some karate skills, but we recommend instead something far simpler, a Smith & Wesson Model 629. Armed with a 44 Magnum round, the 629 is a highly portable and extremely powerful sidearm carried by many American hunters for self-defense against bears in the wild. Capable of creating an exit wound several inches wide, simply follow the old shooter's adage: 2 in the chest and 1 in the head, and Freddy will be no more. But suppose you accidentally fell asleep and Freddy lured you into one of his signature nightmares. What then? The best and simplest defense against Freddy is actually quite simple. Don't be afraid of him. As a dream demon, Freddy is unable to harm his victims without first cultivating an aura of fear. Freddy accomplishes this by haunting his subjects for weeks, gradually building a sense of dread within them that empowers him. Once the fear has grown strong enough, it's a simple matter for Freddy to kill his victim. So your best defense is to simply not be afraid of him. The best way to overcome your fear is 6 tricks used by military veterans around the world. Number 6, prepare and practice. By mentally preparing yourself for your confrontation with Freddy, you can diminish the fear once it actually goes down. Per US Navy SEAL Platoon Commander James Waters, Navy SEALs spend 75% of their time training for a deployment and 25% of their time on the actual deployment. Once in the midst of a confrontation you've been preparing for, you'll naturally slip into a state of preparedness, greatly reducing fear. Number 5, laugh. A Stanford University study revealed that people who were trained to make jokes in response to disturbing images dealt with them in a much better way than those who didn't. Laughing can also release feel-good chemicals, such as endorphins in the brain, further lightening the mood and decreasing the fear. Maybe try picturing Freddy naked, or on second thought, maybe not. Number 4, breathing. Fear manifests itself physically with a racing heart and pouring sweat. You can fight these physical manifestations by lapsing into a pattern of very deep breaths. Inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 4 seconds, calming your nervous system and putting you back in control. Number 3, voice in your head. We've all experienced the nagging voice of doubt deep in our brains during stressful times. In moments of fear, that voice can become amplified and completely override your own thinking. Tell it to shut up. Mentally shout over these thoughts like many soldiers who shout words like faster to themselves in order to shift their focus from the fear. Number 2, worst case scenario. Much like the first tip to prepare and practice, imagining the worst case scenario that can happen can mentally prepare you for the emotions that you're bound to experience, lessening the intensity once they actually manifest. So picture Freddy ripping your guts out. Imagine what it would feel like to have those 6-inch long blades of his in your soft flesh. And then, when the time comes to actually confront him, you'll find that the fear you're facing is kind of familiar and easier to overcome. Number 1, push your comfort zone. Fear typically comes from experiencing the unknown or dangerous. A simple way to defeat fear, then, is to constantly push your boundaries and expose yourself to unknown and dangerous circumstances. Just like exposure therapy can combat phobias, exposing yourself to more and more scary things can actually lessen the effect that fear from any source can have on you. So, you're not afraid of Freddy anymore. Perfect. Now you're in control of the dream.
Sorry I am for all the things I've done. I love you so much. I'll always love you.
I'll always love you.
Mine now, piggy!
Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. And the spirit to rest.
too. I'm gonna dream you into a beautiful dream. Forever and ever.
Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. Hear my cry, O God. Listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the foe. I long to dwell in the tent forever and take refuge in the shelter of your wings. Even though we entrust Nancy to the earth, her courage and spirit shall remain with us. For the Lord God has comforted us, saying that whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. They shall live forever in the glory of his kingdom. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine down upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord make his face toward you and give you peace.
My God. You were his mother.
What's he talking about?
Is he invisible?
Hey, I want to know.
Is this the?
I want to know.
You do not talk about Fight Club. I want to know!
Who are you talking to?
Knew it.
I'm talking to...
I knew it. And now he's got the injury, so he went through the window.
You knew all along, didn't you?
Huh?
I am Mr. Robot.
I saw that one coming.